Join Justin Charity and Micah Peters in Sound Only as they discuss their deepest, darkest thoughts about the millennial lifestyle, rap music, video games, anime, YouTube, social media, and their underlying themes. Check out Sound Only on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code Visible24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. All right, it's official. I think I've discovered the ultimate coupling of all time. Like any good relationship, they really balance each other out. One is super sweet, and the other, well, they can be a little nutty sometimes. It is, of course, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. So perfect, some would call it true love. Find Reese's now at a store near you. Welcome to Bachelor Party. I'm Juliet Litman, here today with Callie Curry. Hi, Callie.
Hello, hello.
We needed to bring in a special guest today to talk about this WOWO challenge. So we also have Ben Higgins. Ben, welcome. It's been a minute, buddy.
Yeah, it feels good to be the guest that you chose for this week. I don't know why yet, but we'll figure it out.
That's not true, Ben. You do know why. You know my favorite publicity image from your season of The Bachelor.
Oh,
By the way, she shared that with me. Great angle.
I didn't know about it, but when Ben was The Bachelor, one of the promo images they used was of him and JoJo in a waterfall, and you can see that Ben's having a good time in this photo. And
it's not just bad enough that they like snapped a picture of it. It ended up being the cover photo for the whole season, so every episode that would pop up. Literally, I guess. I don't know.
I need to know if they know what they're doing or not. You know?
I think that's a good. I think they did. Like, there's no way the hundreds of eyes that see that don't notice it or recognize it. Like, anybody can see it right away. So they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
You would think, but they also said that Pepsi could cure racism, and hundreds of people approved it before it went on air. So you never know, you know?
That's true. That's true. All it takes is a Pepsi.
Yeah.
All right. So Callie and I were texting about this WOWO challenge. Katie asked the guys to not whack off for a week, and that's why it's called WOWO, week off, whacking off, I believe. I just thought this was like the craziest thing. I received a lot of text messages about it. Callie, what was your initial reaction when this was in the first 5 minutes of the episode?
Yeah, my initial reaction was like, what? Why? What is the purpose? How are you going to keep track of this? This is dumb. There's no way to keep track of it. They're all still doing it. This honesty policy. I'm they can't even tell you that they want to be the Bachelor. And you think they're going to tell you whether they're whacking off or not in the shower. It's just so. Also, is she doing it? She never said she was not. She was participating. It was just for the guys, right?
Well, yeah, that's a great point. We don't know about Katie, but all we know is that she did initially come with the vibrator when she's on The Bachelor. So that's why I would thought this was so weird. I was just this is not the Katie we've been told she is for the last whatever month. So I thought it was super, super strange. Ben, as someone who's been both The Bachelor and on The Bachelorette, what would where did this come from? We just need you to explain how they would think of this, why they would do it, and then I want to talk about some of the practical implications of what it's like to be a man on The Bachelorette. But let's start with how do you think this came? How do you think
we can talk about that?
How did this come together?
This is. I have more questions coming from this than anything else I've seen. Because one, we have to understand Katie had all ability. If this was a writer producer's idea, she could have said no to it. Hey, I don't think this is a good idea. So she obviously said yes. She thought this was humorous at some level, or she thought this was going to work at some level. There was no explanation to why. I don't know what the point was other than just like making a situation worse. I found it really awkward. So outside of anything else, like I don't know a demographic. Like I don't know one group of people watching this show that would have watched that and found it like really hysterically funny. Like I think it was supposed to be really funny, or like, but it would just end up being like really cringy. And then in my mind, like as they kept talking about, all I kept doing was imagining them do it. So like then that got weird for me to watch.
Well, I was just like, what is the point of this? It was really confusing. Someone tweeted at me, maybe at Ask Callie, that it was kind of like a ripoff of Too Hot to Handle, and like maybe they were trying to go for that.
Oh yeah.
But in Too Hot to Handle, you're constantly tempted. Like you're all living together, so it's not just like you're alone and you need like some, you need to jerk off. It's not
Also,
the same.
It's a different show. It's like not the same thing.
Yeah.
I told Juliet, I was like, unless Katie like walked in on a circle jerk, like I just don't know where this idea came up. Like why did this come up in anyone's head? Why did she say yes to it? I'm like, we get the sex positiveness. And I'm like, maybe it was like the first episode where they didn't use that word and they were like, we gotta throw something sexual because it's Katie into the episode.
But okay. Because and you two can explain this to me. Is this like sex positive? Is it not sex positive? Like what category does this fall into? Because I'm confused there.
I think it's not sex positive.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's like, you shouldn't suppress any of your like, isn't sex positivity being like embracing your sexuality?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's weird. It's kind of against everything that she said that she stands for.
Also, what is the point? Like, why would she want them to hold out? I don't get it.
Yeah. I'm like, you think the testosterone levels are like high enough? Like, let's not let them whack off. I don't know.
And also, then she was offended when I think Andrew or someone was like, it won't be hard. It's fine. That was a weird moment.
Also, the Mike P was like, this is easy for me. I've never had sex before. But I'm like, yeah, but you've definitely jerked off before. So like, that's not the same thing. You probably jerk off more than everybody, I would assume.
That's funny. Yeah, I did catch that. That was a weird comment. And here's the thing. On this show, if it was just mentioned, like if it's just dropped in like a funny joke, okay, it plays. Like it's kind of funny. People be like, I don't know what the problem was. The first it felt like 10 to 15 minutes of this episode was around this. Like
yeah,
this
was
like
the focal point of the episode. Yeah.
This was a storyline that threaded its way through the entire episode. So this was supposed to be a big joke or like a big thing. And we just never got a conclusion to what it even meant, or what it meant to Katie, or why it was chosen to be done. If she had some really strong value on like, I want you to show me this because I want to see that you will hold out for me, whatever that is. But we didn't even get that. It was just like, I want you to stop. And all the guys are like, whoa, like you don't understand how hard it is to even be here in general.
I'm like a little hesitant to ask this because I don't know how much I want to know, but like, what is it like as like when you're on The Bachelorette? I don't understand being a man, so I have so many questions. But like, I guess another thing that I was wondering is like from the producers is like, is it such a big part of the culture in the house that they thought it would be like a relevant storyline? Like, what's it like, not as The Bachelor, but as The Bachelorette?
Yeah, let me tell you a couple stories.
Okay, great.
Well, first thing is like on The Bachelorette, we live in that mansion in Los Angeles, and there's probably only like there's 3 or 4 bathrooms, but really only 2 that the men use. And I remember this, and anybody can attest.
How many showers are there? Sorry.
There's like maybe 3 full showers that you can like shower in. But
it's like 20 plus guys using 2 bathrooms.
You have 20 plus guys. So at one point we did have the maintenance guy come in and say, hey, you guys need to stop going and like whacking off in the shower. Like you're clogging the drains. Like
that is so disgusting.
Gross.
This is not a lie.
That is filthy. Okay.
And I believe most of the guys.
I wish you guys could see Callie's face right now.
Most of the guys can attest to it.
So 3 showers for 20 people, like that already got me to the edge. Saying that it was clogged of cum is disgusting.
Yeah.
So
In
disgusting.
fact, like it reminds me of college because in our dorm room there was the signs. I don't know if you guys had this, but we had a co-ed shower, like co-ed showers, and there was a sign that said, "Please, like, use your personal space for your personal space. These showers, like it's sensitive, like the plumbing's." And
God. I did not have co-ed showers in college.
okay, well, not they're like individuals. We weren't like all
Sure. No, I
showering
understand.
together.
Co-ed
Yeah,
bathroom.
okay. Yeah. Anyways, in the mansion, it was a problem and it was talked about. Like, this was actually a serious conversation that we had to have at some point. Like, hey, you guys need to be more careful. As the Bachelor, it's a little bit different in the sense that, like, you're kissing all the time.
Yeah.
You're like,
Does that get boring?
yeah, I mean, it just gets weird after a while. Like, at some point, it loses its luster.
Okay.
And then here's what happened with me, and I think we've talked about this before, Juliet. But I am an introvert, and I need my time away. Like, I need my time alone, or I really do start getting anxious. Like, my personality changes drastically, and they knew this about me. And so about halfway through, when I like was holding up pretty strong, I thought they start having a young man literally follow me around. So like if I'm in the shower, he's sitting right outside of the bathroom with his back turned to me, like until I'm out. And then if I'm going to the bathroom, same thing. If I'm sleeping,
Why?
they would get I think to exhaust me a little. I don't know why, but I think they just tried to tire me out a bit. Like try to make me go a little bit more like
more crazy.
Yeah, more crazy. I think that was it. And it really worked. But if you need any private time, if you need any space for anything, I didn't have it. And so you start to go crazy, or you just give up and you're like, hey, you're the one agreeing to do this. Like, you've got to sit and bear it. Like, I'm sorry, but this is 3 months long. You're gonna get to know me better than you want to.
Wait,
Callie is so horrified right now.
I mean, yeah, there's just so many things that I would quit. Like, good on you for not quitting, one. Two, when you were sleeping, you had your own room.
No. So at the end of it, we shared, I think the last 2 weeks, which was like maybe 10 days, I had my own room. But
as the Bachelor?
As the Bachelor, they started to have like two, like a room with a roommate, like a shared room.
Oh my God.
Why? Like, who was literally just to drive you crazy?
Who was your roommate?
His name was, I don't want to drop his name. Okay. He was a handler. He was my like assistant producer.
So could you be like, no, thank you?
I don't think so. No. And I mean, he started to not like it. Like, he's a good dude. And he even started to feel uncomfortable because he knew like how hard it was to have him around all the time. He doesn't want to be a dude that annoys another guy for 2 months. And so at our stops, he would always be there. Every turn, every corner, I never was alone. And I never had a moment of like silence. Like, somebody was always in your ear. And after too long, that like really starts to like get to you.
I would jump off a bridge. I would not be able to handle that. That's insane. That's so crazy, Ben. We never did talk about that. Wow.
No. Yeah.
Also, I wonder if they do this every season to everyone, because like that's going to start. Even an extrovert, it's going to drive someone crazy. No one wants someone around. I also would love to have him on the show to know what his direction was.
Yeah, like what's he told to do? He's probably can't say with an NDA.
Yeah,
and luckily he's a nice guy. We got along, but then you do. I mean, so like let's go back to like this episode. So say like you are there for 3 months and say you do have personal needs. At some point, like when you don't have privacy, and he wasn't like watching me shower. Like, I'm not going to say that, but he was right there. Like, I mean, 10 foot away. Like, you can see the back of his head, texting on his phone or whatever.
Like, you couldn't close the door?
I probably could. I mean, I think I did, but like even then he's sitting outside the door. Like, he never left. I'm telling you, like he never left my side. Like, it was.
I'm like losing it. Like, this is making me have goosebumps just like even hearing about this. Like, I don't want my husband around me that much.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
I can't imagine this. This is torture.
Yeah, yes. It is. It's like psychological warfare.
You don't have a lot of time, and then you kind of like throw up the white flag and say, I mean, at least for me, it was like, where I'm just going to do whatever it is I need to do whenever I need to do it. And like, if you're going to like be there, you're going to be there. And like, that's going to be a thing. And because you start to just you lose yourself, you're exhausted and tired.
never had a bachelor or bachelorette with IBS. Let me tell you that.
Oh my God, this is shocking. I did not know that. No wonder why. Like, also, you get so dependent on the people around you as the lead because you're just never alone. That's nuts.
Yeah,
Sounds
they
sounds
become
really
your
rough.
family, friends, confidants, everything.
That's nuts. Okay.
I have a question. Do you get used to multiple people just like watching you make out all day?
Yeah. Oh, it happens way faster than you think. Like maybe the first couple days it feels a little weird and you recognize they're around, and then you don't even realize it. It actually feels odder. The weirdest thing is when you get off the show and within an hour after the last episode is done, like the filming stops, everybody's gone. Like they're either on their flights back home to their families or they're out at like a rap party. Like you're alone. And that's the weirdest time, is when you are finally alone and it's quiet and nobody's watching you and nobody's commenting on you. That's when it's the weirdest. But yeah, you get really used to it.
Maybe that's why people like keep coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, because you
it's a
don't
good
get
idea.
used. You can't be alone. You need like companionship, the attention. It just becomes like a whole like warped world. It becomes like your world. It's weird. Ben, how long did it take you to like kind of shake the feeling of needing that kind of like people around you?
I don't know. What year are we on? Like, I still have issues, guys. I think for me, I went back to Denver, which was important, and I kind of locked myself away in the house for a couple weeks. I remember having some like moments of just like anxiousness because there wasn't anybody around, or it's not as exciting, or it's not moving so quickly. And when you like go back home and you mow your lawn after a week before that being in Jamaica on a private plane and flying in a helicopter, like life feels weird fast. But I think I missed the more like slow pace of life. And so I think I was excited to just get back to being alone. I think I was tired.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Can we go back to your experience on The Bachelorette? So after you guys are told to do better with the showers, like what happens? Like, do people listen to that? Like, what are you supposed to do?
Also, was there like puddles in the shower?
Okay.
Like, was the water backed up and you didn't know why the water was backed up, and then they come in and tell you that and you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know what people decided to do at that point, but here's how it became an issue. There's one shower outside of the one bunk room. It's the smallest bathroom, but it was our bathroom, so there's like 5 of us that shared it. And you would get back from a date and you'd be super muddy. Like maybe you did like the mud wrestling thing, or maybe you did like whatever. And so you jump in and you'd shower off, and then you'd have 5 guys showering off, and then the drain would have like all the leaves and the dirt and like extra shampoo that was like suds up, like clogging it up. And so like it would just build on top of it. And then like, I don't know what, you have a bunch of dudes showering in a shower. So then there's like hair, and then there's like random toilet paper that people like have that they've decided to throw. So by the time like a couple weeks goes on, the drain just gets like, it's like a fraternity drain. Like a fraternity house has the same problem. And I think a part of the like glue that kept this glob together was
okay, this is
human
just so
excrement.
Disgusting. I feel bad that I've taken us down this path, but
I tried to do that without like making it too gross.
Yeah, we learned a lot. We're learning a lot. I appreciate it. So I feel like the hotel situation must be great because they only have like one roommate. They have more. Like you have like your own bathroom. Like that seems so much better than being in like the mansion that's like fake nice. It's basically like totally ripped up.
That again leads us to then why is this even a thing?
I don't know.
Hotel.
I don't know.
Do you think the hotel staff was like, hey?
Ben, do you think this came from Katie or do you think it came from production?
Production. I mean, I think it was I never have a moment, and I've always stuck to this because I don't understand when people blame the show for too much, because I never had a moment where I felt like a decision was made for me. I felt like there was always some type of give and take and some type of conversation. And if I didn't want to do a date, for example, there was a date in Las Vegas that was planned that was like a striptease date that like the women and I were going to go on. And I was like, I don't really feel good about this. Like, I don't want to do this. And I don't think I'll be comfortable at it at all. And that was just my personal. They said, okay, good, you're good. We'll switch it up. So it was. I don't think the idea came from Katie. I'm sure she knew about it, talked about it, and said, okay, I like this for whatever reason. She said she was liking it for. I think she probably had some insight into it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
bizarre.
I feel like something had to have happened off screen that was like funny.
Yeah.
And that's where she was like, oh yeah, let's do this because it'll be funny. Because like the guys were like kind of laughing about it a little bit and they brought it up over and over again.
They might have been told to do that though. Like sometimes they do tell you to like say stuff, right, Ben?
That's true.
Yeah. Or like there's a question posed.
I'm also wondering, Ben, like you said, you never felt like you didn't have control, but do you feel like you were, I mean, obviously your mental capacity was probably at like the lowest point ever with someone following you around, on top of everything else happening. Like I have to imagine that their persuasiveness during that time is like nuts.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they're the only people you have around you. At some point in time, they're the only people you can trust and not trust. And so, yeah, they do have a lot of persuasiveness, and they're all very smart. And so they can sell any idea to you pretty quickly. So I'm not saying that there was not ideas proposed. I felt like had the ability to say, I don't want to do it like that. Like, can we come up with a different idea that maybe meets us in the middle? But after a while, all you're trying to do is like make it through it. And so you just want to throw your hands up in the air and be like, do whatever you need to do. I just want to go home. Like, I'm tired.
I'm done here. Oh my God. What an arduous journey. I can't, that sounds really intense. Let's move on. I wanted to hit a couple other things. Number one, I mean, we can keep talking about this, but I feel like we've exhausted it, and I've learned a lot that I need to process.
Was the shower explanation too much? Did I give you too much? Like, was that too gross? I felt like I tried to. Okay,
it wasn't too gross. I mean,
it was borderline for me, but I'm happy to know more. But I'm good.
I asked. I mean, that's why we asked you to come here today. I was just like, I was just so confused. It's just so confusing. And I was like, you just had all of the touch points as being a guy, having been on both sides of the show. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
I want to talk about Justin, who had a big episode, but then also had a little bit of controversy this week. And I thought it would just be good to kind of talk about also how he responded to it. So first of all, Justin finally got a one-on-one. Amelia, my coworker, and I were saying on Monday, we felt like we didn't really learn a lot about him. But he seems like he's fun. But Callie, I know you really liked him. Like, why were you so excited about him?
I just thought his one-on-one, first of all, it's like bizarre. First date, let's do proposals or like write each other's vows. Like, I can't imagine that being my first date, let alone like my 175th date. Like, I'd never want to do that date. But
the wedding photos have to go. It's just like, we don't want any more of that.
It's just weird, really, really early on. Yeah. Or it's always early on because it's only 3 months. But I just think he's like, we talked about him being a good hang. Like, I feel like I could be friends with him. He almost seems too normal for the show. No offense, Ben. I like loved him after watching the episode. And I was just like, that's someone like, I feel like that's the type of guy that I would pick to marry out of the bunch. His controversy, my brothers would say that I'm like a huge cancel culture person, like canceled, not buying that anymore, not doing that anymore. But I think it's gotten to a point where it's just like, people say dumb stuff when they're 14 or, and I didn't see the actual tweets. He just talked about them.
I haven't seen them either. And, I didn't go looking for them, but I'm sorry I interrupted. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Keep going.
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, I didn't go looking for them either. I thought his response was great. Like, he was very much so like taking ownership of them. He like said that they're hurtful then, they're hurtful now. He didn't have an excuse for it. He's just saying that he's grown. And I mean, I'm glad I didn't have a Twitter at 14.
Oh my God, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Periodically I go back through my old tweets and I'm just like, was all of this okay? Even making fun of people, like even just like making fun of like celebrities, like thinking that you're like you have like the agency just like say that. I mean, and a lot of podcasting is making fun of people, especially when it comes to reality TV, but it's different when they sign up for being on The Bachelor, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think also like, yeah, kids are also just mean. Like they're subject to like groupthink because, as he said, his underdeveloped brain, like, I don't know. But one thing I just been thinking about is like, I didn't go looking for the tweets. I feel like predisposed to like Justin. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm being not nearly as hard on him as Rachel Kirkconnell. And like, obviously her situation's a little bit different. Like she didn't say something right away.
Like months went by.
She was like participating in like a racist tradition, basically. So it's like kind of different. But I do feel like I personally am treating these like really differently. I'm like, why am I being so much easier on Justin than I was on Rachel?
Yeah, I also feel like his comments were like a little bit different than what Rachel participated in, or like things that she did multiple times, even though she was also young-ish. It wasn't that long ago. It was like 4 years ago, 3 years ago for her. The other thing is, I think it's interesting that Justin came out right away, quotes, like it's like a conversation with him. It wasn't a statement that was written. And I mean, I think that the way he took accountability was just different than how Rachel did. And I don't think that his comments were as severe, which probably makes it easier for him to come out. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, at 14, I just think it's nuts to think that
I think he was 17. Not that's so different, but he was a little bit older.
Oh, I thought it said 14 in the article.
Might have been actually 14. I thought it was like 10 years ago when he was a teenager, and he's currently 27. But anyway, you're right. It was 14. You're right.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say at 14, I'm like, I mean,
you're in 8th grade and 14 at 14. Like, that's really, really young.
Really young.
You have to hope that people change. I mean, like even seeing Matt and Rachel together now, it's like, well, if they're happy, I hope that means they work through some stuff and she's learning and she's changing. She's still really young. I mean, you can't just banish people forever and like not give them a second chance.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I guess it varies case to case, but I don't know. Ben, what's this been like for you to watch play out since, you know many more of the people behind the scenes?
I would agree with you guys. I really am glad that I did not have a Twitter in middle school, because there were things that I said, thought, felt like that were so not true. Like you just don't have any like truth to life on probably every subject. Like even being mad at my parents for stupid stuff. Like, like I would have tweeted out that I was mad at them for something stupid. And like today I would have seen that and be so sad because they've been great to me. Like,
Ben loves his parents. That's like one way Ben and I connect. We both really love our parents.
We do. But like even bowling, bowling, or I was traveling playing AAU basketball, and the stuff that like we would do and say in a hotel room when we're teenage kids without like family or parents around would be terrible. Like we were just ruckus all the time. And so I think that part has to be taken into consideration. I also think when it comes to like recently, just all these like contestants, I'm wondering how much of us have this bias, like where at this point in our life, we're really needing to ask, like, and how healthy it is that we're asking ourselves a question, like, what is it in my life that I feel so strongly about that I've hurt people in the process of that now I need to bring to light and to like learn about and understand why I have so much hate. Like, it feels like there's so many people just on the show, but I'm imagining this is just a microcosm of it, that have these tweets in the back, like in the past of their life. And like, that is a little disturbing that like so many people have felt so much hate about certain things.
I think that there's a lot of people in the world, or let's say specifically the United States, but also the world, but specifically the United States, that have these tweets. And I think that we're at the age now where those people had Twitters and Instagrams when they were younger. So a lot of them are coming to light. Like, I'm sure like our parents' age, like imagine if they had Twitter. I mean, there would be a lot of CEOs that aren't in the positions they're in anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
They would be canceled in a heartbeat. I also was thinking about like at 14, you're also just saying what the people around you are saying or what your parents have said. Mm-hmm. Like you haven't gone out into the world and experienced different cultures and different people and had like, there's so many people I'm sure that have grown up. Like I think about this all the time. I am super happy that my parents are extremely liberal. But like, I have friends whose parents were not. And one of my best friends was like on the opposite side of it for most of her life. And then she went to college and was like, wait, what? Like, why do you
I
think
know
this?
you learned.
And like,
you learned.
yeah. So I'm like, you don't know that at 14. You're basically like whatever your parents. And I'm not saying that Rachel or Justin's parents, I don't know their parents. I'm just saying that I think that it's hard to judge someone who hasn't really like experienced the world and come to their own conclusions.
Yeah, and like life on their own. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Also, Justin's a little bit older than Rachel, so he has had a little bit more time, like as an adult in the world, to like experience some of that. But he seemed, I mean, and I think he does seem like pretty genuine. He seems like his facial expressions obviously have gotten a lot of attention, but like as a result, he does seem kind of like normal because he just reacts. Like he's not like constantly trying to
be this
like
person.
Yeah, or like game something out like we're seeing with some of the other guys. I think that's like why someone like Greg and then obviously Hunter like feel different than someone like Justin. They just feel so much more calculated. He just seems like he's like along for the ride.
Yeah. I don't think he knows exactly like, I feel like he just like came on the show and was like, all right, yeah, like people just are themselves and they either win or they lose. And it's like, that's not, I mean, a lot of people, that's not what happens.
Yeah. I also like him because he doesn't have perfect teeth. I always like really attracted people who don't have perfect teeth. I'm like, this is great. Just, he don't all have to be like models of dentistry. And I just like, I like that about him.
I'm looking at his
It's
teeth
not
right
like
now.
too bad.
Sure. I also love
Look pretty good.
Yeah, but they're just not perfect.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
They're not veneers.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, he's a really handsome guy. That's undeniable. I thought Katie's vows were really good. Like, again, the date's really awkward, but I'm just sort of like, don't waste these great vows on someone you don't know. Because I'm just like, wow, she's a really gifted writer, I guess.
Here's the thing. I actually really like Katie a lot, and I think she's.
Have you met her, Ben?
I haven't, but recently she sent me a message and was just like, "Hey, if you ever need anything," and I said the same thing back to her. Like I've enjoyed watching the show. I think she is kind of a Caitlin Bristow-esque bachelorette in the sense that like she's gonna be fairly unfiltered. She's gonna allow these dudes to have a good time. I do like Katie, but I thought this episode was one of the consistently most, and not because of her, but like most cringe-worthy episodes I've ever seen. Because we start with the first conversation that thread through about the dudes needing to not whack off. And then we have this wedding date that like wasn't a group date. It was a very like intimate moment between two people that, and maybe it comes from like my, like a little bit of my traditional values in the sense of what marriage is and what it can be. But it's like, no matter what, that's a very special day that I believe for me, I will hold sacred. And so to see somebody walk down the aisle in a white dress and to share your vows with them, it just felt like kind of heavy. I don't know, like kind of like oddly heavy and not really enjoyable for me. Like I don't know what it did other than just make a situation uncomfortable.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Usually they're group dates. So there's like a little element of like it being funny because everyone's watching it and, it's a little bit different. The one-on-one definitely makes it more intimate.
Yeah. It also, it just seems like the kind of thing you don't want to waste. I don't know. I'm just like, don't you want to save this for when you're actually getting married? I don't know. I thought it was strange.
I think it's a little strange because like we hadn't seen her and Justin's connection really
at all. Yeah.
So I was just like, this isn't the guy that I would choose for this. He ended up doing great. They both did great. Like I think for what it was, they did an awesome job. I wouldn't have wanted to do it, but they both were capable. But I was just like, it's weird that they picked Justin for this date.
I know. I was surprised too. Because when Zach and Tayshia did it, you're like, oh, these two are really into each other. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it felt like way more random. But this season just has a really weird like cadence and energy to it. Like I don't, it just is like the pacing is different than usual. It's just a weird season. We gotta get travel
I also
back.
feel like we got to, what's it at? Is it like final 6 now or 8?
I think it's like 8. Yeah, we got here like really fast.
It's
like it was like cut down day this week. It was just really weird.
Which speaking of cut down day, this was the first time we actually saw some exits.
I know, and I loved it. I like the exits. I forgot that I really enjoy seeing people upset. So
what a sad time.
Good to have that back. I couldn't believe Aaron was gone. I could believe it, but I was like, damn, I'm gonna miss that guy.
I can't believe that Hunter was gone. Like, she just continually does what everyone wants her to do, which never happens.
I know. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird that they just sort of like rallied against him, or like as like the third person. Ben, what do you think about that? Oh, sorry, Callie, go ahead.
I wanted to, Ben, you can answer this question too. Like, after his exit, I was like, is he actually a bad guy, or is this just a horrible edit?
I don't think he is. Apparently he has Tourette's, which I feel like is important to note.
Yeah.
So, like, I think he's a way more complicated person than they made it seem. Like, between his sobriety and Tourette's and, you know, being a father, I feel like he's lived a lot of life, and like they kind of try to like boil him down to being a villain.
And like his exit interview was like, he was like, I think she made the wrong decision, but you know, I want her to be happy. And I was just like, that's just not someone who they're making Hunter out to be wouldn't have that exit interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
It was weird. Ben, what have you thought about the guys kind of like teaming up, but to get rid of people? So weird.
I mean, so when it comes to Hunter too, you have a lot of fans that come on the show that are on the show and they talk about it all the time. Like I remember Tanner Tolbert, who had an incredible edit, who people loved, was a huge fan of the show. In fact, most of our time together in group, we're like, okay, Tanner, what happens next week? Like, do we start traveling next week? Like, how many gets cut down here? And he's like, okay, well, here's how I know who's the favorites. Like, he would walk us through that. That is pretty much what Hunter was doing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe with a little bit more ego involved. Like, he was like, yeah, I'm a top part of the top four. I don't think Tanner would have ever said that. But it doesn't make him a terrible dude. It is interesting this season how there has been this mentality of like, okay, we're all going to gang up on one person. And then every time that person has been let go.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
It's worked every time. And for good or bad, I mean, maybe Katie is trusting the men in the house to like kind of communicate for her or with her. But that never has happened, at least what I can remember before, where this has happened, 3 times where everybody in the house says, that's the guy this week. We're going to get him out. And then it works. So then it kind of like validates it. And I think at this point, we're probably done with it. I can't imagine it still happening. Yeah. But
because
I've never seen
she
it.
likes these guys now, except for Brandon, who like we don't know why he got to stay.
That's
Super
the
weird.
only one that I was like, huh?
I know.
Like,
have we heard you speak?
Yeah. Which also makes me like, Andrew S. has just stayed out of it all. Like, he will not get into the drama. Like, even when Hunter was like, there's some guys in here that can vouch for me. And she was like, is there any guys? And Andrew S. like raised his hand. Like, he's like, if I win, I'm not winning this way. Like, I want to win because she likes me the most. I'm not getting involved in all this BS.
He has to be really confident, right? Like, not just like in his connection with Katie, but like in life. Because I feel like that's sort of like the power way of approaching the show. And it's a great strategy. It would make him a really good bachelor. Like, it would just be great for him to just sort of be like, I'm doing me and like I'm going to pursue who I want. I think that would be awesome. Ben, who's your favorite so far? Like, who do you like most?
I'm a big Andrew fan. I have been since the beginning. I also really like Michael A.
They're the runaway favorites, right? Like, no one else is on that level. They're both so great.
Well, I watch them and I just feel like, they would be guys I could be friends with, that I'd have a good time with, and that I would want to I want to see set up with somebody. Like, I don't think their intentions are like at all anything more than like, hey, we're here to have a good time. We'll see if this works out. But along the way, we're going to treat everybody as the best we can, which is how you want to approach life. So I really just liked watching those two and hearing their stories. And I think they both have a lot more story to tell. And so as a result, like, I want to see more of them. And that's why they're my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. It's a hard balance of how much you get of the lead and how much you get of the contestants. We got to talk about Cat Guy going home. Callie, how'd you feel?
I'm happy about it.
Good riddance. Connor Cat Guy. Good luck to him.
I told you, he seems like a really nice guy, but like my free time, I don't want to sit on a couch and listen to someone play the ukulele. So like, he's just like not for me, but he seems like very good guy, very confident with his chest. And like, I hope him the best. I didn't see it there. So I'm happy she sent him home, because I feel like that was one that she's like, I like you as a person, but like, it's just not there.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like he was the wrong person for that date, for the double date game night, which by the way is a great concept. Just like, let's get some real friends in there, like not fake friends. It would be great if like Katie's best friend and her boyfriend or husband came, but I just feel like for that date, you want to bring the person who's like the most fun to be around that you're also really attracted to and like play house. I feel like you don't want the like guy that you know is fun, but you aren't into it. I feel like that doesn't like lead to the fantasy. So I just feel like he was miscast for that date, but maybe that's why he ended up going home.
Like Blake and Andrew S. would thrive in that setting.
Totally.
I wonder if Katie knew he was going home. Like he had a long way to go to stay, and this was just a good opportunity to send him home. Like a one-on-one. Yeah. This is going to be the I'd rather do this. I remember there was moments where you're like, okay, this person's an awesome person. I enjoy them. I would rather send them home at a one-on-one than I would the rose ceremony, because at least here we get to like talk it out.
Right. And they can like, you can let them know like why, what the thinking is and more personal.
Yeah. I don't know if you can answer this, Ben, but were there girls on your season when you were the Bachelor where you kept them around because you were just like, fuck, I really can't imagine sending them home because I just feel so bad. I don't want to hurt them. But then it ended up being worse because you kept them around longer, but you like dreaded sending them home.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would say, but there really wasn't a moment where I really wanted to send somebody home. It's still breaking up with somebody. And so I think every one of them is kind of like, oh gosh, this just sucks. Like, I know she's going to be sad. I know this is kind of going to be weird, especially early on when you're like, they're just going to go home and not really get anything from this. Like they're going home on like week 2 and they just have to like show up to their families like and be like, sorry, I didn't make it very far. And then the only other one that stood out to me that was the hardest one and it really in general was Amanda Stanton, because she had kids. And so I went to her hometown, not really knowing I was going to like meet her kids. And then we did, and we had a great day together. But then I sent her home that week because I just knew that we couldn't go any farther. And I was sick. Like, how am I supposed to send a mom? Like, she's going to be so upset. I just met her kids like 2 days ago.
Sucks
like
for
that's
the kids.
Yeah, it's going to be odd. And so, but I don't know if they were ever fun. I think the breakups just are awkward.
Yeah, that's rough. That is rough. I think Amanda's doing fine though. Don't worry.
I think she's okay.
She survived.
Yeah.
She survived. I just can't believe that we're like, all of a sudden we're down to so few guys. But yeah, next week is week 7. And then I think after that is hometowns. It's like really, it's coming up fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Another person I thought that may have gotten a bad edit, and we had talked about him, he annoyed both of us, was Trey.
Yeah.
But like his exit was phenomenal. I was like, wow, what a nice guy. Like that is the perfect way to exit the show. Like he's like, I'm sad, but she didn't feel it, and I want her to do what she feels. So this was the best thing for her.
I know.
And I was just like, what? Why didn't you act like this the whole time?
Well, he may have, and we just didn't get to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm glad he'll be in paradise. Yeah, I'm glad he'll be in paradise for that reason, because I feel like we'll get to see more of who he actually is. But the moral of the story is, don't waste your time talking shit about the other guys. Look how much we love Andrew S. That's just it. Just Trey, find a better way to use your time, and it would have been a lot better.
He just too consistently got wrapped up in like that, like, hey, we're going to pick this person and go after him. Like he was too much there for too long. And that's why I was like, seems like a nice dude. I still probably think he is. He just liked that part for whatever reason way too much.
I think that's like how he got time.
Yes, it is. It is. And he also, like, for these guys, they saw Katie do that, and then she got to be the Bachelorette, and she just was like on the show a lot. So it's like, it's a strategy. It's out there.
That's true.
So
that's true. Oh, wait, we can't not talk about Blake. And just
we'll talk about Blake. Let's let Ben go. We don't need Ben to talk about Blake. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. You really taught us so much.
Oh boy.
Check out more of Ben on his 2 podcasts, Hope Still Wins, and on Almost Famous with Ashley, and Ben.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that what's called? Ashley and Ben? Are you guys?
No, it's just Almost Famous.
I think you guys are famous enough now to have dropped your initials, you know? Like she was Ashley I and you were Ben H, but now you're just Ashley and Ben.
We're very much almost. Like we're not close. But hey, great to be with you too. I'm glad I taught you some things.
Thank you so much.
I'll always be here to be resident expert. Yeah, thanks. All right, see y'all.
Bye, Ben.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements. So many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code Visible24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit eBay.com for terms.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need. Have coverage options to protect the things you value most. File a claim right on the State Farm mobile app and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Okay, let's talk about Blake.
Yeah, we cannot not talk about Blake. I mean, he is just
he had a really good week.
Episode.
He definitely seems like the most fun person. There's no doubt about that.
So fun, so cute. He's easily the most comfortable, which makes sense because he's been, I mean, I say he's been on 2 shows. Like, it's not fair to say he's been on 3. He didn't sign up for 3. He signed up for 2.
Yes.
He's been on 2 shows. He gets it. I mean, he is just doing all the right things right now.
He just seems like the most fun at this point. Like, I'm not even sure. Like, I'm not sure I really would want to spend time with Blake, but if I were Katie, it seems like it's the easiest to spend time with him. And that must be a huge relief because, like, it's such a stressful situation.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they have like it seems like they're almost like not on the show.
Yeah.
You know
and also,
I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And also, that was actually the only entertaining part of the WOWO challenge is when she was talking to him because he was so funny about it and like so forward. You actually was like, this is kind of cute, I guess, in a weird way.
His personality is cute. I think it makes him, it's like, I don't think I would be, and I think he's a good looking guy, but like, I don't think I would be attracted to him if I saw him walking down the street, but like his personality makes me think he's cute.
Yeah, he's goofy and he's clearly nice. Like that's like one of the main things. He's like clearly like a nice guy and does seem very interested in her. I don't know. You're talking me into Blake. I just like I wasn't there. I feel like without you, I might be harsher on him. But you do point out he's a good guy, and also the other guys seem to have taken to him actually
really quick.
Yeah, he's like in the crew.
Yeah, which usually does not happen for the late ad.
No. Although it just reminds us that he probably didn't come in that late and they just made it seem that way. But
yeah. Oh yeah. Especially with the editing snafu.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they're just really into him. Like everyone likes Blake, I guess. I'm happy for him. Whatever the outcome, it feels like he's taken a big step forward with his public persona since being on Tayshia's season. So that's good.
Yeah. Also, it's so weird because I think Blake probably has the best connection with her from what we've seen. And like, still my mind is 100% made up that Greg wins.
She seems really into Greg. Greg is such, oh my God. He just is, week after week, I'm just like, why Greg? But he seems fine, I guess.
Yeah,
Blake
he seems fine, like fun. But like, fine is not who I want to marry.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, he seems fine. I don't have anything like, there's no like crazy red flags or anything at all. He seems like a nice enough guy. But like when they're like, who's the best kiss? Like everything's just like Greg. And then like when she's talking to Tayshia and Caitlin, she talked about Greg. And I'm like, okay, she clearly is super into Greg, but I just like don't see it at all.
He doesn't seem fun, but maybe we're just not seeing it on camera. Maybe it doesn't play to the camera. In some ways, he kind of reminds me of Lauren, who Ben chose, where like JoJo seemed like way more fun and flirty than Lauren, like similar to like Blake and Greg. But he went with Lauren, so who knows? I guess she'll go with Greg too. We'll find out. But also, Greg is just getting a little bit too roped into the drama. Like I feel like he's losing his bearings a little bit, like with the way he his stupid speech at the drag date, which by the way, I didn't know, but Amelia explained to me that like basically that's like a very common date on or common challenge on RuPaul's Drag Race where like they like have to insult each other. And they didn't explain that at all. So I was like, what is this weird date?
Well,
but that's
also
why.
Didn't insult each other. It wasn't good.
I know.
Like if you're gonna have, I know it. Like I obviously, or I don't know if this is obvious, but I think most people know what tea and shade is.
Yeah.
I was like super excited to hear what they have to say about each other, and then like it was horrible, and I was just like, this is, and then it just like randomly became like a few things about Hunter, but it wasn't like tea or it wasn't like shade. It was like straight up like, well, I heard you say that you didn't love her. Like, that's not what this was. The only person that said anything that was like when I think Aaron maybe called him a leprechaun and was like, you're not going to get the pot. That's what it should have been. And that was
he does kind of look like a leprechaun.
But that was the only comment the entire time where I was like, that's what they were looking for. And no one did it.
Seriously. That day was just totally a wash. It was just really strange.
Yeah. Also, I thought the drag queens were like great, like brought good personality. So I'm like, this could have been a good date.
Why didn't you give us more of them?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was. I'm over the cattiness. I feel like the last few weeks are going to be really good though, because I feel like she likes the guys that she has left. It seems like there's a lot of tears to come. I feel like we're going to like hit a good run with the season for like to finish it out. So, I mean, fingers crossed.
I need to see why Mike P and Brendan are still there.
That's I know. It's shocking.
They're the only question marks where I'm like, what is like Mike P? Also nice enough guy. What? It's just
There's no way they end up together. Yeah, no way.
So I'm like, why are you dragging this poor man through this? And then Brendan, when she picked Brendan, I was like, who?
I know. Shocking that he's still there. I guess she just couldn't get rid of all of them at once. They probably are like inoffensive. So she's like, yeah, sure, they could stay. Versus the other ones who are troublemakers.
Oh yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Cause I was like, I would think you would pick someone that we actually know of. Like you at one point trusted Aaron, like Aaron over Brendan would make more sense to me, but yet Aaron's stirring stuff up. So maybe she's just like, let me get rid of anyone that's talking about anyone else than themselves.
Yeah. I think that is it. I think also like she wants them to focus on her, which makes sense. Like she's looking for her husband. She needs them to be focused as well. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a good end of the season because I feel like she does really like these guys, and I feel like it's going to be hard for her to decide because it seems like there's a couple that are, there's 3 that are clearly really great that she's into: Andrew, Blake, and Greg. Well, I don't know if they're all great, but she's really into them. Oh, and Michael, right? Yeah, forgot about him. That's a solid 4 right there. Plus Justin, that's a great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, plus like you think just like it seemed like she was like, wow, this date really changed everything for me. So I do feel like Justin has creeped up in there.
Yeah, and it seems like that's like a good final group actually, which was similar to Tayshia's season. So that's why I think it's gonna like be a good stretch run, as they say.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people dropped off watching. Like a lot of my friends have dropped off and are just like, oh, I want to go watch Bachelors in Paradise. And I think like that coming up, honestly, is like in the back of everyone's mind just because it's such a good show.
I know. It's like way more fun too.
Yeah. But I think the last 2 weeks, like 2 weeks ago was an awesome show. I feel like moving forward, we all know who the guys are now. I know their names. There's connections there. I think it's going to get good.
Yeah, I agree. We'll be here for it. I'll be back on Monday and we'll be back next Thursday. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Isaiah Blakely for producing this, and have a great weekend.
Adios.